I have 5 random WiiWare games that I played back in the day. Which ones were rightfully forgotten, and which ones should you seek out and play today? Let's find out. Do you like jetpacks? Are you looking for a platformer that implements motion controls? Jett Rocket might be the first draft of something you would like. Our protagonist, Jett Rocket, who would have figured, is a member of the planetary inspectors on patrol looking out for any threats to the planet. When out of nowhere, Jett is attacked by an unnamed, for now, giant sphere that steals the energy capsules from his ship and bumps into the ship, knocking Jett Rocket off onto the planet below. The rest of the game is a basic 3D platformer where you go around collecting solar panels so you can unlock new areas and defeating bosses so you can get those coveted energy capsules back. Until you finally get to the giant spear guy and are able to defeat him and take back your stuff. This is a nunchuck game, but you only use the nunchuck for the joystick. Real missed opportunity to use the extra buttons given to you on the nunchuck. I guess they didn't have any ideas or time to implement anything else. The main part of Jett Rocket, as you might expect, is a jetpack. Now, your jetpack has a limited amount of fuel that you recharge at these strange jetpack stations, and you shake your Wiimote in order to recharge. Jetpack does have a bit of a limited height to it. It doesn't feel like a true jetpack in that sense, so it's kind of an interesting choice there. I understand why they did it, but I think if you gave us an actual jetpack and then just designed the game around it, that probably would have been better. But oh well. You also have a dash on the ground and a homing attack slam in the air. Well, both of these actually home in on enemies and targets and stuff. And you activate these by shaking the Wiimote. Shaking the Wiimote to activate these is very oversensitive. I have definitely accidentally dashed and slammed when I have not meant to during my playthrough of this game. The fastest way to move around, at least by my estimation, is by jump canceling your dash. Wonder where I got that idea. Anyways, there's no checkpoints in the levels at all. Until you reach the boss fight, there's no checkpoints. I was definitely rushing through and being impatient during my playthrough for this review, but that stinks. One final random thought I had was the bosses remind me a lot of Sonic Rush. I don't know if any of you remember that game, but basically the bosses are, you're in an area and you have to dodge side to side, wait for the boss to do some attack so that you can homing attack that weak point. Out of every game that we're going to cover today, this feels the most like a budget game. Limited length. It only took me about 2.5 hours to play through, even with me kind of stumbling around and being silly. There's only 3 general areas. The bosses, like I said, aren't the most creative. There's no like special upgrades or anything. There you do ride like a jet ski, a hover bike, and a parachute at certain points, but quite frankly, they're not that much fun or interesting to play with. So, like, again, it's a budget game. There's a little bit of jank here. For example, the sensitivity on shake is the biggest thing. There's also some platforming in the game that feels especially bad. The one that comes to my mind is the whale. Really, it's supposed to be some kind of submarine in the shape of a whale. I don't know what's going on there. But the way that the spout works, where it pushes you up but doesn't keep you moving forward, is jank. There's also times where I like tried to jump on it, but I didn't jump on the right part, so I slid off and fell into the freezing water, which hurts you and can kill you, as you might imagine freezing water can. With all that in mind, it's definitely not the worst game out there. I'm gonna put it... Oh, by the way, for these reviewing WiiWare games, I'm implementing a scale. And on the scale there is, at the bottom, Layer of Hell, followed by Rage Bait, and then you got Average in the middle, Fun Afternoon, and then Golden Nectar. Right? That's our scale there. And on that scale, I would put Jett Rocket slightly below average. It's not bad enough to be Rage Bait, but it's just kind of an game. There was a sequel released for, I believe, the 3DS. I will probably not be looking into that, because quite frankly, I don't think it's gonna be any better. Now, getting out of Jett Rocket, let's talk about Dr. Mario Online. I do enjoy some Dr. Mario. I have been playing classic NES Dr. Mario on my Switch 2 via the NES emulation online nonsense. But playing it reminded me that my first exposure to Dr. Mario was this game, actually. There's no real story here, as you might imagine. Dr. Mario is fighting viruses. I don't know what else you would expect.
Dr. Mario Online is divided into two major game modes. The first being Dr. Mario, and the second being Virus Buster. Let's cover Dr. Mario first, because it is sort of the classic experience of, well, Dr. Mario. Now, they did add some new things even to the sort of classic section of Dr. Mario Online here. You got one player, you've got one player versus CPU, and one player versus CPU Flash. You've also got two player where you can play on the couch with a friend in both classic and Flash mode, and you've also got online mode. Yeah, I'm sure that still works.
Classic, I think, is self-explanatory. Dr. Mario drops pills, you line up the colors, you kill the viruses, bada bing, bada boom. Flash is where you have certain viruses that are flashing, and they are priority targets. They're the viruses that you actually need to kill in order to progress the level. You don't have to kill every virus. That's kind of cool. You've got a couple quality of life things, you've got a couple more songs in here than original Dr. Mario, and you've got ghost pills, where it actually shows you with a little, 50% opacity outline of the pill where it's going to go when you drop it. So that's cool, but that's really all we have to cover in the Dr. Mario section. Let's move on to Virus Buster. Now this is sort of the big thing that I think was probably the selling point of this game. Basically, Virus Buster, instead of using your D-pad in order to moving around the pills, you actually use the Wiimote pointer, which is kind of cool. Other than that, I mean, it's Dr. Mario, except for you can actually move around half pills after they're broken. They also drop multiple pills at you at once. So it gets kind of hectic in Virus Buster. But I mean, that's really all there is to the game. You've got upgraded graphics, although they don't super hold up to modern resolutions. You could argue whether you like the classic sprites or the sort of 3D models they made for this game better. You've got a couple small gameplay upgrades in Dr. Mario mode. Virus Buster is pretty cool, although I have very mixed feelings about games with the Wiimote pointer. Sometimes it works flawlessly, sometimes you're a little too close, sometimes you're a little too far, sometimes there's a little bit too much light in the room interfering with the pointer. It's very hit and miss. I would put this game overall about right on the average, because it's still Dr. Mario at its core. It's still a fun game you can just pick up and play for a couple minutes if you're looking to kill some time, but it's nothing special. And I would expect more from a game that's basically, I mean, the closest thing it is a deluxe version of Dr. Mario, right? I would expect a little bit more from that kind of game. Before we get into our next game here, and trust me, the games are getting better, okay? Just stick with me. But before we get into it, go down. I would really appreciate it if you did the YouTube pleasantries down below. It helps out. You know the deal. Alright. Here is the game that is definitely in the thumbnail for this video, Fluidity. Now, Fluidity is a very interesting game because the best way to describe it is that it is a Metroidvania physics puzzle game where you play as water. Yeah, that's right. You play as that water that's in the thumbnail. Didn't expect that now, did you? The story here is pretty simple. There's a magical book that has been infected by the influence, basically some ink. And the book has asked you to help get rid of the influence. Now, the mechanics of driving out the influence is pretty simple. You go around collecting rainbow drops, which are scattered across the pages of the book. And after collecting enough rainbow drops, you open up different boss areas where you can clean out a large amount of influence creatures, like for example, slugs, and an influence spawner. That's the name I've given this thing because I don't remember actually ever being named in the game. The closest I can remember is a source of influence, which is basically the same thing as a spawner, right? Anyways, the gameplay is actually really cool here. So you start as just the water form, and you move around by tilting your Wiimote left and right. And this is actually really responsive. Unlike Jett Rocket, this game's motion controls are crisp. So you move just back and forth with water, going about your business. But you get upgrades along the way. You've got the explosion upgrade, which is mostly used to gather water around yourself before you explode so that you kind of keep your body of water together in a usable way. You've got some of my favorite upgrades in any video game, the ice upgrade and the sticky ice upgrade, where you become a block of ice and then you can stick yourself to whatever you're touching. So you can use this to like climb up walls, you can use this to swing on ropes, all kinds of fun stuff. You've got the water spout upgrade, which lets you shoot up water in a spout. I don't know how else to describe it. You've got the cloud upgrade, which lets you become a cloud, and then you can actually tilt up and down on your Wiimote in order to move up and down, as well as left and right. Then with the cloud, you've got the wind upgrade, which lets you blow things. The lightning upgrade as well, which lets you zap things. Now, most puzzles follow the basic formula of bring X here, whether that be different colored gears, whether that be goldfish needing to go back to their bowl, or rubber ducks that need to go in a bath. You can also get rainbow drops by collecting color drops, which are the individual colors of the rainbow, that when you collect all of them, make up a rainbow drop. You can also find rainbow flowers on each page. So each page is broken down to multiple sections, and you find all of them on a page, you get a rainbow drop. There's also these puzzle pieces you can find that unlock playrooms. The only one that is worth unlocking is the second playroom, the long jump, because you get to be ice and you get to launch yourself and swing off things in order to get as far as you possibly can in a long jump style. And I don't know why, but I just find that tons of fun. Fluidity is a super unique game. Super cool. It's also a genuinely good game. Editor, I don't remember how long my playthrough was for this video, but I did not nearly 100% the game in order for this playthrough. So there is, whatever that number is that's on the screen right here, up that up by probably maybe another 2 or 3 hours or more, right? It's just it's a genuinely good game. So I'm putting it at Golden Nectar. I think Golden Nectar is going to be on this side. I'm still figuring this out. But anyways, genuinely good game. I would highly recommend anybody out there, if you can find it somewhere, go out and play it. Apparently, within the world of Pokemon, there are Pokemon toys. Kind of makes sense. If like you've got animal toys, you got stuffed plushy animal toys, I would expect in Pokemon there would be stuffed Pokemon. But with the twist of a Wonder Key, they gain this sort of weird half-life with only the desire to crush their enemies in a battle royal. I'm serious, that's the story of Pokémon Rumble. Now, like I said, that's the story. You're just trying to get better and better Pokemon toys in order to beat the battle royal. So the gameplay here is basically a casual 2-button beat 'em up that's on an isometric camera angle. This game is hub-based. So within each hub, you have 6 stages that always share the same names, but differ in terms of layouts and Pokemon you can find in each hub. But anyways, the names are Silent Forest, Windy Prairie, Rocky Cave, Fiery Furnace, Bright Beach, and Eternal Tower. Now, most of these have some sort of theming as to the types of Pokemon that are in them. For example, Eternal Tower has mostly Poison, Ghost, and Psychic Mons in them. Now, when you go and go and fight these Pokemon, there's basically a random chance whenever you knock out a Pokemon that it will fall on its side, and then you can walk up to it and pick it up, and it becomes your new toy. Now, these Pokemon toys cannot ever improve. They're stuck at whatever power level they are, right? So if you find a Mon at 127 power, it's going to stay there. The only thing you can do to really change and improve the Mons is to give them new moves, which you do at basically a bingo machine, where you spin it out, it spits out some kind of little ball thing, and then it gives you your new move at random. And each hub that you climb gives you better and better moves. But how do you get to the new hub? Well, after you collect a Pokemon of a certain power rating, the Battle Royal of that hub opens up. You go in there, you clock every other Pokemon right in the face, and then you get rewarded with a hefty chunk of cash, and you can move on to the next hub. So you've got C, B, A, and S hub. But after you win the Battle Royale, or after you beat the Battle Royale in S, you move on to Advanced Mode, which follows the same formula, but again, new Pokemon, new layouts. It's definitely harder and higher power level. So you've got C, B, A, and S in Advanced. Cool. Beat that, you get to EX Mode, which is one hub, and you've got a Battle Royale EX. Basically, you've got Battle Royale 1, which is composed of 1-1 and 1-2. 2, which is 2-1, 2-2, so on and so forth. I only made it up to 4 by myself. I definitely could have used some friends to help me clear it out, which, if I could find somebody who would play the game with me,
I could have done, because you can play the game with
up to 4 players at the same time, which I think is one of the great strengths of this game, is that you can play this sort of casual, fun, whatever Pokemon game with family and friends, right? And it's not, I mean, until you get up to like EX mode, it's not so hard that I would worry about a younger family member or maybe an older one, you know, somebody who's less skilled in terms of hand-eye coordination as maybe you are, falling behind and not being able to have fun and play the game. There's also surprisingly a lot of playtime to this game. Editor again, number. But I didn't, like I said, I got stuck on EX4 when I decided to say, alright, that's fine, whatever. So there's probably another stage or two of EX mode that I didn't do. Maybe there's a secret hidden 4th mode. I don't know. I can't find any documentation that says otherwise. But anyways, the problem with the game is that it can get repetitive. Now, you're always finding stronger and stronger Pokemon, newer and newer Pokemon. There's Pokemon with certain traits that do different things. There's new moves you can get. You know, so I think the repetitive nature of it is masked quite well. I certainly have always enjoyed this game, but I could see people ragging on it for being repetitive. Overall, I mean, that's literally the only complaint I have about the game. So overall, I'm going to put this game in Fun Afternoon, which I think is over here. And editor, help me out. This is a perfect game to bring to a family gathering or you know, hang out with friends and stuff and just talk and catch up, you know. Perfect game for that kind of thing. Out of all the games that I have talked about today, World of Goo is probably the one that you have heard of the most. Now, World of Goo is a physics puzzle / engineering, which are all engineering games physics puzzle games by definition? I don't know. But anyways, it's a standout indie game by 2D Boy / Tomorrow Corporation. I don't quite understand how this works. I think 2D Boy became Tomorrow Corporation? I think? Anyways. The story. Oh boy. I forgot how much of the story I have written out here in my notes. That is a whole oh my goodness. Alright. Oh, let's get through it. In the first part of the game, the goo balls, as far as I can tell, just want to go up in the sky and look around, which you do by the end of the chapter. They leave saying, oh man, I hope people can someday explore all these cool things that we saw, you know, and all that. Next chapter, we are introduced to the World of Goo Corporation. One of the things that this corporation gets up to is making beauty products. Innocent enough. So this whole chapter is spent on the process of making said beauty product. And you do this by taking these sort of red and orange big goo balls, shredding them into smaller bits, and putting them into a vat and making this product. Now, at the end of this chapter, you use the beauty product in order to rejuvenate the power plant, because the beauty of the power plant provides electricity to the world. Artsy indie game. What, I don't know what to tell you. That all happens. Then in the next chapter, we're doing various things within a factory, which culminates in blowing the top of said factory off. Now, bear with me. This releases a giant hand with some kind of laser gun that shoots a green square up into space. Now, then this green square falls down to the planet, forms into a cube surrounding the planet, and then a monitor pops up and informs us that World of Goo is now 3D. Okay? And that you appear to be incompatible with the world. Please contact tech support in the Information Superhighway. Naturally, Chapter 5 takes place on the Information Superhighway. After doing some more puzzles, you come into contact with Mom, which is basically an AI search engine who forces you to sign the terms and agreements in order to get access to the recycle bin where we can go and reset the world. That's basically the story of World of Goo. I'm sure I have missed something, left out some kind of important detail, missed something in the artsy fartsiness of this game. But I mean, ultimately, the story is not the thing that's driving the game. This is a mechanics-based game with a satirical artsy fartsy story on top of it. So, as silly as the story is, let's get down into the mechanics and why you should really play the game. The basic gameplay is you attach goo balls to other goo balls in order to make structures. Now, your goal here is to make this structure, but also have enough goo balls remaining at the end of the level, usually some arbitrary number, that go into this pipe. All the extra goo balls that you get go to the Tower of Goo, where it's basically a sandbox where you can build as tall of a tower as you can. You know, that's the goal of Tower of Goo. Now, there are a ton of different types of goo balls. You got your standard goo, which is you attach it and then it's stuck there. You've got your underground goo, which is basically, as far as I can tell, a reskin of the other goo, or of normal goo. You've got green goo, which you can actually attach and then take apart and reattach somewhere else. You've got drool, which it basically forms a single strand straight down. You've got your match goo, which you can set on fire and burn. You've got your balloon goo, which, as you can imagine, lifts up the goo. You've got your skull goo, where skull goo can actually come into contact with spikes and other hazardous obstacles, whereas other goo can't. You've got your digital goo, which you fling, and you've got your digital red, which you transform from the other goo, and then basically when it comes into close proximity of other red digital goo, it forms a drool strand. So yeah, you've got a large variety of stuff here. You've got different bridges, you've got towers, all kinds of different structures you gotta make. Really cool. Although it's a very basic idea, it's very well executed. World of Goo was originally released in 2008. There has been a remake since then, as far as I can tell. That's up for $15 on both Switch and Steam. I happen to own the Switch version. And as far as I can tell, basically they just upped the scaling on the graphics so that it looks prettier. I haven't really noticed anything different about the game other than that. You've got World of Goo 2, apparently. I don't know how I missed this, but apparently it was released in 2024 and is now up for $20 on Switch and Steam. I am definitely going to be looking into that. Honestly, I might make a whole Tomorrow Corporation video because I just like how these guys do things. This is a really fun, unique puzzle game. It's got kind of an artsy-fartsy satire, social commentary of the time. So it's kind of fun to look back on that time and see what people's big political thoughts were of the time. And the game doesn't take itself too seriously in terms of the story, so it's got humor and stuff to it too. And the art style and presentation, super slick, super clean. Well, I wouldn't say clean. It's kind of rough and grimy, but it's very professionally done and very enjoyable. I didn't even put it down here in my notes, but I know, and I'm sure you can tell by the way I've been talking about this game, this is another golden nectar. This is another golden nectar game. So I would maybe wait for it to go on sale. I mean, $15 I think is worth it for this game, straight up. But you know, you could always wait for a summer sale or something to get it on Steam. That's all that I got for this grab bag of random WiiWare games that I played as a kid. I hope to see you all around for the next one. Have a blessed day.